Hi there, it's Ed Moses, and welcome back to Project Mindset. Today I want to talk to you about a book I just finished reading, and it's pretty exciting actually. It's a really enjoyable book. It's called The Secret Life of Water, and the book is written by Masaru Emoto. Masaru Emoto, probably Masaru Emoto. It's a very, very good book. Made me think twice about water anyway, because as we all know, most of us would realize that our bodies are mostly made up of water. That is what comprises most of our body. And knowing this, we should take into account more or less, the quality of the water that we actually put into our bodies. And a lot of people, they just drink out of the tap and things of that nature, and end up putting a lot of the chemicals and all that yucky stuff into their system, and it's really not that good for you. But after reading this particular book, I've learned some interesting facts about water that I never knew before, and quite honestly, wow, I've always watched the water I put in my body anyway, but now I really find it more interesting, the water I put in my body, because after going through this book, water carries a message of the emotions that we actually channel into the environment. And what's interesting about that, like the energy of emotion, such as like happiness, joy, actually reflects in the water. What Emoto-san did was he took water from various different locations around the world. He's from Japan, and he did take it from various locations in Japan. And what they did was they took and they froze this water. First thing they did, they would take a pure sample of it, and they did like city water. They did just fresh water that was from nearby or different places through Japan. They even went around the world and took samples of water. Then what they would do, they come back and they would take this water, and on a petri dish, or the little glass slide, that's not a petri dish I don't think, but it's the glass slides, they would take and they put a drop of water on each one of those slides. Well, then they would take that water and freeze it, and after they got done freezing it, they could come and put it under a microscope and actually see the purity of that water. Sometimes what they would find was the water would actually have a crystallized look on it. Like here's some examples of some of the water. I don't know if you can see that from the camera, but some pictures of that water, of basically the crystallization that water showed from the different locations. What's even more amazing was the water, how it reacted through emotion. Something that he had said was like they went through and would say something like "thank you," something just really kind and from the heart, "thank you," and they could find that it would have a more, a very beautiful snowflake effect type of crystallization. Now, if you said something like "you're an idiot," something negative of that nature, what they saw, it kind of looked like a splotch of just, nothing nice about it. It just looked like a splotch, not such a good thing. And what this made me realize was, if our bodies are mostly made up of water, what this tells me is this: that if you're using a lot of negative thinking, a lot of negative words, or hear a lot of negative words, and you start to believe those type of negative words, that water is in your body is actually reflecting those same negative crystallizations that they saw under the microscope, basically on these frozen samples. And what that made me realize is it needs, it's something to avoid. I mean, why that, if you could see the beauty of a crystallization like that inside of a water sample or a frozen sample of water, because of something that was positive, and it's crazy beautiful. Why would you not want to have that type of positive emotional water inside your own body? I thought that it's just amazing to me that that water has this transformation, based on our emotion. And one other thing that, something else that they went through was like a lot of city water it's got all the chemicals in it. What they saw was when they did these samples with the city water, it really did not take on the crystallization. Because it was contaminated with other stuff. It just, sometimes they would have a partial one, but it just wasn't anything really worth talking about, I guess. But what that basically showed them was that you can't have a pure, if the water's not pure, basically you can't have a nice crystal like that. It just doesn't work out. So the water has to be pure. It has to be free from chemicals and all that stuff. But one thing that I thought was really cool is they did an experiment where they brought these people in, and they went and they stood in a circle around this Tokyo City water, and they started saying positive, beautiful things, and how they blessed the water and said and wished it to be pure and all this happy-go-lucky stuff. And what happened was they went and they did the same thing. They took 50 samples of that water, froze it, put it under the microscope, and they saw that the human emotion has actually purified the water, cleaned the water just through that pure intent like that. It's just amazing. There's also some photographs and some where they actually experimented by playing music, and different music actually has the same effect on the crystallization that these waters would show in the microscope. What's interesting is they're never the same. They're never quite the same. They're very similar. Some of them are similar, but they're never the same. They all have their own designs, and different things have different patterns, including different religions. If different religions are actually exposed to water, it also has its very own look. And another thing they did was they would say thank you in different languages, and see that each one of those, because I don't know why the motion would be any different, but they would have a different look. The crystal would have a different appearance than one that did not. So pretty amazing. I totally have a different outlook on water than I ever had. Homeopathic stuff was also mentioned in here. And one of the things, what got Emoto-san really interested in water was, I guess some years ago he had injured himself and twisted an ankle or something like that. And he was at a place that these guys had been already experimenting with water, and they had this purified water that somehow they had done something to it to give it a medicinal vibration. And that's something I forgot to mention. The vibration of the emotion is actually what I think transfers into the water, and that's where you come up with the different, the different crystallization structures to give that beautiful look. But he had injured his ankle, and these guys he was with, I think they were doctors or scientists or something, said, they kind of was concerned. They said, well, they brought this healing water, they call it, this healing water, and they actually rubbed it on his ankle where he had injured it. And he said it actually had started to feel better within just moments after doing it, and he wasn't limping around anymore. And that's where he got the interest in water, and decided to start doing more experiments with it and seeing just what secret lies in water. And it's just amazing what I've learned from this book. I never would have thought that water would have so much emotional characteristics in it like it does. I thought the book was great. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's probably one of the most interesting books I've ever read so far this year. I found out about it from a friend, that one of my Facebook friends had talked about it on one of their profiles, and I thought that's really cool. I like learning stuff like this. So the first thing I did was I went out, I think it was either Amazon or I bought on eBay, I forget, but I went out and I found me a copy, because I don't like hardback copies in my library. I don't like softbacks, so I always look for a hardback, because my library only has hardbacks in it. Unless the softback's all they have, then I'll break down and buy the softback just because I want to read the book. But so I got me a copy of it, and I think I got it a month ago, and so finally got to sit down and read it, and just impressed. I just really highly recommend this book, especially if you're into homeopathic medicine. It's to me it was really eye opening, and something that I wish I'd have known about a long time ago, because it brought into mind some interesting things with like flowers and stuff like that. I ran out today and I bought some different stuff by a company called Bach that actually makes some homeopathic solutions they're kind of like you basically you have a little syringe or whatever, and you put it in water, and you just squeeze a couple drops into the water, and you drink the water, and there's all these different types of variety of flowers that you can pick from. Some of them aren't flowers or herbs, maybe roots or stuff like that. And basically what they've done was they took that essence of it and they put it in there, and what happens is that essence actually holds the vibration of that plant. So actually what's happening is you're actually transferring that vibration into the water, which then when you drink it, you're transferring that vibration into your system. Some of these little herbal remedies are good for stress. Some of them are good for memory. Some of them are good for depression. You know, just all kinds of things. I mean, it just blows my mind that this stuff isn't more well known. Actually, the pharmaceutical companies are probably hiding some of this. They don't want us to know this information because a lot of things can be healed on a natural basis instead of using drugs every time we want to feel better. So anyway, when I created Project Mindset, the whole idea was to find a better way of doing things. And through reading this book, I found some really interesting things that I think fit right into Project Mindset, and that's why I'm recommending it to you. Read this book, it's great. But how you use Project Mindset, well, that's really up to you. But I can tell you one thing, it's a better way. So I thank you for taking the time to watch the video. I hope you enjoyed my book review of this particular book, The Secret Life of Water. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much and have a great day now. Bye.